Welcome everybody to another episode of EDH Workshop. I'm MC Sebzi. Today we'll be talking about my Jerren Corrupted Bishop deck. He's 2 and a black for a 2/3 human cleric. When he enters the battlefield or when another non-token human I control dies, I lose a life and create a 1/1 white human creature token. He's also got an ability where I can pay 2 mana to give a target human lifelink. And at the beginning of my end step, if I have exactly 13 life, I can pay 6 mana and transform him. So that's what the deck's about today. I built this as a human tribal deck, mostly, just because of his ability, allowing him to, create humans, give humans lifelink, and also trigger off that. I'm able to basically get my health low, and that's the plan of the deck. Basically just tank my life total until I can get enough to transform Jerren. Once he does transform, he turns into Ormondal the Corruptor. Flying trample lifelink, and I can sacrifice another creature to draw a card. Having a lot of humans around the board is big help with that. So yeah, let's get into the creatures. One card I wanted to jump straight to that I put into this deck is Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker. He says whenever a creature with power 1 or less goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, he'll return at the end step if Shirei is still on the battlefield. So I kind of try to stay to like the 1 power humans, give or take a few useful ones. So also got a bunch of demons in this deck, so it's kind of a cult deck. So I have a lot of big demons and then a lot of small humans, so it's kind of like I use the humans to sacrifice, bring out the big demons. I have Asmodeus the Archfiend. He lets me draw a bunch of cards, which is also what Jerren's flip side does, Ormondal. So then it allows me to then put all those cards back in my hand and I lose a lot of life, so that's perfect in this deck. It's about card draw, it's about life loss. Audacious Thief, just a human. When he attacks, I draw a card and lose a life. I have a lot of effects similar to that. Bushmeat Poacher lets me sacrifice another creature and I gain life and draw a card. This is useful once I have Jerren flipped, because once I get down to 13 life, I want my life to be coming back up. So I have a few things like this. Lifelink also lets me sacrifice humans, triggering Jerren. Combadge Witches is just a small pinger, deals 1 damage, and then they have somebody else can deal 1 damage to any target. So I'll usually do this on myself. Try to get my life total down. Also has 1 power, so it'll return with Shirei. Deadeye Tracker, it exiles the top card of an opponent's graveyard. It exiles a card from an opponent's graveyard, and then I can explore. Lets me ramp more. Demon of Loathing is just a nice and big demon that kind of comes in, so that's like another, again, part of the deck. It's kind of like these big demons are like amongst. Direfleet Hoarder dies, creates me a treasure token, also 1 toughness, so it'll come back with Shirei. Graph Reaver lets me exploit something, so one of my humans to trigger Jerren, and it also loses me 1 life at the beginning of each upkeep. Glint Sleeve Siphoner is in here when he enters the battlefield or attacks, get an energy, and at the beginning of my upkeep I can pay 2 energy to draw a card and lose a life. That combos more so with an enchantment I put in here. It is Gonti's Machinations. So it says whenever I lose life for the first time each turn, I get energy. Since the deck's about losing a lot of life, I'm going to basically bank up a lot of energy. I won't necessarily use its second ability until I need it, where it's a big life gain, because I can pay 2 energy. But having all that energy banked, I can then pump it into Glint Sleeve Siphoner to draw those cards every upkeep, lose that life every upkeep, and in return get energy back from Gonti's Machinations. I have a Falthus, the Shadowcat, just to give my commander Menace and Death Touch, because once he flips, then it's kind of more of a Voltron strategy where I really want to just like get him buffed up. I really want to get him hitting hard. So this helps out a lot, especially with Trample. Death Touch just clears out a board. Dutiful Attendant, when it dies, I return another creature from my graveyard to my hand. So I'll play a human, have it sacrificed somehow, then play this, sacrifice it, bring that back so I can play it again. Kind of loops the cycle. Dreadfast Demon allows me to sacrifice a non-demon creature at the beginning of the end step, and I can create a copy of Dreadfast Demon, so I just get a bunch of 6/6s once, you know, I don't need these humans anymore, or, you know, I want them to start dying so it can trigger Jerren a bunch. Disciple of Grizzlebrand sacrifices a creature to gain life. Again, this is for when I need my life to come back. Also has, you know, the 1 power, 1 toughness. 1 toughness on this guy. Disciple of Bolus, I can sacrifice something to gain X life, draw X cards. Again, this is to maybe get my life back. I can sacrifice a Dreadfast Demon for 6. Jadar is great. Just gives me a lot of board fodder, which is have a lot of sack outlets, so it's very beneficial, especially stuff like Dreadfast Demon. Also a human with 1 toughness, 1 power. Keen Duelist allows me and an opponent to reveal the top cards of our libraries, and then we take damage equal to the amount revealed, and then we put it into our hand. So this is great because I want my life to go down really fast. Cascade allows me to sacrifice 3 creatures, all my humans, you know, trigger a bunch on Jerren, and then I can look at the top 3 cards and put a couple of them into my hand. Pretty useful. Also a human with 1 power. Magus of the Bridge, whenever a non-token creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, I make a 2/2 zombie, so all my humans will make me zombies, more tokens to sacrifice. So kind of Aristocrats theme, but not severely concentrated on the sacrificing as opposed to like my commander's trigger ability. And then whenever a creature is put into an opponent, it exiles itself. I have Magus of the Mirror, so now once my life total's at that 13, I can flip Jerren, and then I can use my Magus of the Mirror to sacrifice it and exchange my life with somebody else. So I'm back to, you know, 30 or 40, depending what they were at. Moodmark Painter comes in and gives my commander Menace when I use it on him, and plus X+0, where X is the number of creature cards in my graveyard. Again, sacrificing a lot of humans, so I can always use Ormondal's ability to sacrifice another creature, draw a bunch of cards, sacrifice all my creatures, then play this, giving it plus, you know, 10+10 or whatever, +10+0 Menace. Orzhov Enforcer is just a 1 power human, death touch, so it can kill basically anything. It's more of a chump blocker that can also, you know, get brought back with Shirei, and also has Afterlife 1, so it nets me a human and a spirit on death. I have a Shadowgrange Archfiend. Enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control, and I gain a bunch of life. So that's useful again once I've transformed my commander, once I don't need to be at 13 life anymore. Seeker Squire enters the battlefield and explores for me against some ramp. Ravenous Demon, I can sacrifice a human to transform it. How do we transform this from here? Dang. Let me do that. Ooh. All right. So then it transforms into Archdemon of Greed, so it's a human sacrifice, and also at the beginning of my upkeep, I sacrifice a human, and I got a 9/9 flying trample, just as good as my commander. Psychosis Crawlers, power and toughness equals the number of cards in hand, and when I draw a card, each opponent loses a life. So again, this is great with my commander's ability to sacrifice and draw a card. This is great with Asmodeus's ability, having a bunch of cards in my hand and drawing that many cards. Yeah, so it's really good creature in this deck. You know, gets a lot of power from the cards in my hand. This enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices something. I'll sacrifice a 1 power human. Gets returned with Shirei. I get the trigger off Jerren, so it's kind of like a beneficial destruction. Phyrexian Colossus is just in here mainly so I can pay 8 life to untap it. Again, I just want to like sink my life away as quick as possible. So paying 8 life is great. You know, I can pay 8 life twice. That's already 16 life down, so I'm closer and closer to that 13. Painseer becomes untapped. I reveal the top card of my library, put it in my hand, and lose life equal to the mana cost. Again, losing life, getting some card advantage. Shirei, Skizard Flare, or Skursdag Flare, sorry. It lets me sacrifice a human to destroy a creature for 4 mana. It's, you know, one of the weaker cards, but useful for, you know, some removal. I have a lot of creatures, 1/1 creatures and stuff. Create a token. With this guy, I can just tap him, make a treasure token if a creature died this turn. Again, a lot of creatures will be sacrificed or dying, so that's great. Village Cannibals, whenever another human dies, I put a counter on it. Again, sort of human tribal, so all my humans dying. Mr. Seer is just a sack outlet. Great sack outlet. Whisper Blood Liturgist, let me sacrifice 2 creatures and return a creature from my graveyard to the battlefield. So similar to Dutiful Attendant, but kind of better in that sense, where it can constantly replace. I can almost get into an infinite combo if I can somehow untap this. But yeah, it's pretty good. Then I got sorceries. I got Fraying Omnipotence. Somebody loses half their life or discards half the hands, sacrifices half the creatures. This is good for me because it can bring me down to my life total quicker, and then kind of, you know, messes up my opponents a bunch. Feed the Swarm. I can destroy something and lose life equal to its mana value. Disentomb to bring something back. Victimize to bring something back and a sack outlet. I have Sign in Blood to take 2 damage and draw 2 cards. Diabolic Tutor lets me search up things like Shirei or, you know, important key pieces that I need. It's, you know, I know there's some better tutors out there, but it's just what I have for my collection. Bone Splinters, sack outlet. Removal, Return from Extinction. It returns cards from my graveyard. Again, I could return 2 humans. Promise of Power lets me either draw 5 and lose 5, or I put a black demon with power and toughness equal to the number of cards in my hand. So depending where I'm at in the game, whether I'm trying to lose the life or whether I'm trying to get, you know, big demons and have a lot of cards in hand. Ancient Craving, draw 3, lose 3. Ambitious Cost, draw 3, lose 3. And Night's Whispers, draw 2, lose 2. So, you know, just a lot of like card draw and a lot of damage taking. Just trying to cycle through my hand. I'm going to be playing a lot of like small cost humans, so then, you know, I want to draw a lot more back. I have Boon of Erebos to regenerate my commander. Again, a lot of these protection ones are going to just be for my commander. So Undying Evil gives it Undying. This gives it Indestructible, or makes it return to the battlefield. This gives it Indestructible. I have Grave Purge to put a bunch of my humans after they've died on top of my library. Vendetta destroys a creature, and then I lose life equal to its power or toughness. Without Weakness also gives my commander Indestructible, because it's very difficult to flip it, especially paying 6 mana and being such a low life total. So I really want to protect it once I get there. Witch's Cauldron lets me sacrifice a creature, gain a life and draw a card. Traveler's Amulet, just for ramp. Jar of Eyeballs, when a creature dies, I can then put counters on it, and then I can look at the top X cards in my library and put some cards in my hand. Eternity Vessel is another one for when I would want to play this kind of before I start getting too low, or at least like low enough. Then I can drop a land, and once I'm at the 13 and flip my commander, the landfall trigger will bring me back to that high life total. It's a May ability for the landfall, so I can kind of like store it at, you know, 30 life kind of thing, and then once I'm down to 13, use the ability, flip it, bring my life total back. Bag of Devouring, whenever I sack another creature, I exile it, and then I can return a bunch of cards with it. So it's kind of like, you know, helping that sacrifice outlet gives me a sacrifice outlet to draw a card. So yeah, it's pretty useful. Enchantments, I got Demonic Lore. It draws me a bunch of cards and then starts losing me a bunch of life, which is exactly what I want. Gruesome Deformity gives my commander Intimidate, so it can't be blocked except by artifact and black creatures. Kaya's Ghost Form also prevents it from dying or getting removed. Vampiric Link gives it a second form of lifelink that it doesn't staple lifelink, because it will gain the lifelink damage and it will gain the Vampiric Link damage as well. Vampiric Rites is just a sack outlet. Again, gain life, draw a card, so I'm able to manipulate my life total a lot. And then just a few lands that I wanted to quickly glaze over. Ancient Tomb I got, which is great for this deck. Adds 2 mana and deals me damage. I know it's more on the expensive side. I got a Phyrexian Tower as well, where I can sack a creature and add 2 black, so, you know, helps me with the sack outlets. And then I just got Piranha Marsh and Sunscorched Desert, which both just deal 1 damage when they come in, so I can deal it to myself. Again, I want to manipulate the life totals. Rogue's Passage is also there just to get my commander a bit more unblockable when needed. But yeah, that's the deck. Pretty low mana curve, and then, you know, I got a few high bombs, which is like a lot of my demons. A lot of these like heavy hitter power ones, again, like having half my life total gone is great for me, but not great for my opponents. Yeah, there's some other stats there, but that's the deck, kind of Jerren. It's kind of, yeah, just like a self-hate deck in the sense, until I get my life total down to 13, be able to flip them, and then, you know, I get a lot of card draw and life gain things going on, so I'm able to kind of like still stay in the game. But yeah, so it's kind of like, it's nice because I get to kind of do my own thing with creatures and never have to worry about being attacked. near the beginning of the game because I want to be losing life. Yeah, and then, you know, worst case scenario, I can give other humans lifelink to kind of gain that bit of life if I go just below 13 with one hit. But that's the deck. Really fun. It's a really interesting gameplay I like because I get to kind of just like destroy my life total. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the deck list. It's going to be in the comments. I got a bunch of decks up on Moxfield. I'm MC Sebzy. Yeah, check me out on Twitch. I'm streaming all there a bunch. MC Sebzy7. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll definitely catch everyone next time. Let me know in the comments what you enjoyed. If, you know, if this is a cool deck idea, or, you know, if you want me to do any other types of deck ideas, I'm all for it. Again, let me know if you want a specific commander or a specific build or archetyped. I'm sure I have one of the decks, but this was just another one from my collection. But yeah, catch everyone later. I've been MC Sebzy.